Hey everyone, back with another Dragon Hunt video. So today we do have a Dimensional Conquest boss. Now, this is a newer boss than what we saw last rotation for Dimensional Conquest. For those of you who haven't seen my previous video, I kind of talked about the 3 stages of this, which is kind of like a guild versus guild. It's pretty cool game mode. So we went through the first rotation, and now we're on the second rotation, and the second rotation actually brought a different boss, which I wasn't, aware that they were going to do. I don't know if the third boss in the rotation is going to be similar to the first 2, or if they'll have a third one as well. But I did want to talk about this boss. It is important to do this because the next stage of this process, where you actually go up against individual guilds, in a PvP setting, it's kind of important to increase your pioneer level, which is what happens the more you beat this boss. This boss goes up to, I believe, 30 different levels. I think that's what it is. It shows it in the rewards. Yeah. So it goes up to, level 30. So the further up you go on the boss, the more crystals you'll be able to farm in the next round. You farm those crystals by setting up arena defenses, and then people can attack your ships as you're trying to farm those crystals to interrupt that. Or you can do the same thing where you interrupt theirs, or you defend your ship with stronger PvP setups. So anyway, the further you increase your level of killing this boss, the more crystals you get whenever you send out your ships to defend. So right now, if we don't beat this boss, we'll be stuck at 160 70% of the time when we go to farm, with a 25% chance to get 240, and then 408 crystals at 5%, where if we beat this boss, this level, we have a chance to get 510, 255, or 170. So really important to try and do that. So I want to go over his mechanics, okay? So this first one here, he's talking about how he will unleash this fire breath and burn everybody that's kind of in that circle. So you want to stay out of that. Now they're showing 3 rogue heroes. They got Milo, Betty, and then Skade. They're kind of just telling you right now that, going in and brute forcing this probably won't work. I did that on a lower stage and it worked fine. But now that the boss is up to level 6, or level 7, I don't know if that's going to work. So we're going to go in here with, some ranged heroes and try and make this work. So on top of that, he does this kind of like ground pound thing, which seems unavoidable, and it's going to deal a lot of damage. So it suggests that you bring someone that can restore health. Same thing here. It's telling you to just heal, because I guess he targets the 3 heroes that you have with the lowest health. So healing seems to be really, really important. He also has this knockback ability where if you're up close, he's going to hit your melee heroes anyway and push them back, forcing you to take a little bit more time and go in to deal more damage. So you really want to use some ranged heroes here. Let's talk about some of the heroes that you are looking to utilize. So Betty, probably the best rogue in the game outside of Hoi Yi, but Hoi Yi is a collection hero, and they are very hard to get, very hard to level up and even be useful, late stages in the game unless you have multiple copies. So Betty is going to be probably the best option for 99% of the player base. If you click on the boss, it suggests assassins. The reason for this is assassins all have this ability where as soon as the battle starts, they actually go into the boss directly, but they have this ability to kind of like jump around, which is why they suggest them. Is they can get out of range very quickly and then use their ultimates to kind of transport back in and avoid that fire breath that they showed as the very first ability of the boss. So that's why they kind of suggest him. So any of your strong assassin heroes are going to be really good for this. So I'm planning on bringing Betty, Edward. Dodgy, just to mention, is a bit better than Edward for single targets. Edward has some type of AoE abilities that really help him in like Realm of Clouds, campaign modes and stuff like that. But for bosses, Dodgy's probably better, but as you see, my Edward is leveled up and not my Dodgy. I will plan on bringing Balder as well, as mine is pretty leveled up, and he's a ranged hero. He's also going to pair really well with the type of healer that I'm going to be bringing. So I know most people don't have him. You don't need to bring a ranged hero. I think if you were to bring maybe 2 supports and then, 1 or 2 assassins and Betty, you're probably going to be pretty well off. Guan Yu is just an amazing hero. I might bring him because I need him to trigger probably the best Dragonling in the game, which is this this warrior dragon Sting. You unlock this hero by doing the Glory Duel, which is the PvP game mode going on right now. But it's kind of whaley. But the healing of this dragon is just amazing. So I might bring Guan Yu just for that to unlock the warrior. Or I could bring Joan, which in my opinion is probably the strongest healer in the game. So I'm probably... Let's try this. We'll bring Joan, who's great at healing, gives some turbo boost, increases our damage. So we'll bring Betty, Edward, Joan, Balder, and then we'll bring Grace, who is a collection hero, but she does have a counterpart in SR that I will suggest you guys to use as well. But see, she has this leadership might, which is really important. It increases energy recovery to 100 for 5 seconds after they cast their ultimate for all ranged heroes. So that equals that includes elemental and rogue heroes. So that's what we're going to bring. We're going to bring 2 healers. We're going to bring Grace and Joan, and then we're going to bring Balder, Edward, and Betty, which are just my strongest heroes, and we're going to see how this plays out. So on events like this or game modes where it's really important to try and maximize your damage, you really want to manual things. I first did this on level 4 and I got a really high score, but I just brute forced it. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that at these higher levels. So we're going to go in and try and, do it based on the game mechanics of this boss. So on level 4, I did 208 million. I'm hoping to get like 50 million on this one. So you do get, some guild coins. You get some talent upgrades, and then you also get some dragon food. So here you see it suggesting rogues and assassins. So like I said, I think we're going to bring, and as you see here, this is kind of who I brought last time. We're going to bring Joan, Grace, Edward, and Balder. So there's Balder. Oh, actually, no. I'm changing my mind here. I forgot. One of the things that you have to keep in mind with this game mode is because it's in Celestial Ring, you still get use out of your gems. So in your gem data, you get all these additional buffs if you bring in these heroes. So technically, I have Edward that does have a gem, so he's still probably okay. But Betty does not have one. Guan Yu has an amazing gem, so he's doing a bunch of damage. Yeah, so we probably got to switch that up. But that does kind of mean that I don't have to bring Joan anymore. And I will just bring our little dragon here and Grace for the healing. So let's bring Guan Yu just because he has, that legendary, immortal gem on him, which I think is going to be really key. We'll still bring Betty. I think we're going to move Grace over here. We'll bring Guan Yu in the front. Edward over there. And then let's bring in Balder. We could either bring Balder or Icy also has a gem and he's a ranged hero. Let's do that. I like the look of this. All right. So we'll go in here. Right now, I think we'll put all of this on manual except our healer and Grace. So we need to move our Guan Yu back. there we moved our Edward. As you saw, he can kind of jump in and out. So these are all the things that we're trying to do. We're going to analyze with Icy. He's got a very strong ability. You saw the defense break here, which is really increasing our damage. So we're just trying to just go in and fully obliterate this boss as fast as we can and maximizing our damage. And it looks like our heroes are still strong enough. So it probably would have been okay for us to just bring all brute force. But I did want to show, you know, our heroes trying to, you know, follow the game mechanics. So we probably should have just kept our Guan Yu in there to not waste any damage and then move everyone out, because it just seems like he's surviving just fine. So there's the big smash that asks you to bring healers, and this boss just isn't doing enough damage. It seems like the level is too low. His HP seems to be very high in comparison to, you know, the type of damage that they want him to do. So I'm just going to put this on auto and let this run. I'm not going to dodge anything or whatever, and we're just going to try and maximize our damage. Like here, you should bring your heroes out and avoid this fire breath, but as you see, like the type of damage that that's doing versus the heals that we're getting from our dragon and stuff like that, it's not worth it. So it seems like we're doing some pretty good damage with, you know, our Icy and Betty. So I think bringing those two heroes really isn't a mistake. You have that increased damage and defense break ability kind of going on with all of our heroes. So we're still putting up some really good damage. It does look like the Grace. Okay, see, so the Grace did go down, but we still had a couple seconds left. And our damage dealer still got off all of their damage. So, okay, 145 million. That's pretty good for level 6 still, I think. Let's take a look at the battle stats. All right, so yeah, the Betty and the Edward, we're doing really good. The Guan Yu, we probably didn't need to bring him, but he was still doing some decent damage. You know, the Icy did very, very good. I honestly don't even know if I needed this Dragon Healer, or I probably didn't need to have the Grace, but the Grace did increase the damage from the Icy and the Betty, so I guess it all kind of goes hand in hand. But anyway, that's this boss. If you guys are a lower level, you probably have to, you know, watch the game mechanics of this boss, you know, dodging that fire breath and all of those things. But if you're at a decent high level, I would say just brute force this. Bring your strongest heroes in and just, you know, maybe bring one healer, or if you have the Dragonling, any kind of healing dragon might be enough. At these lower levels. Once you get up to, like, I don't know, level 15, level 16 boss, you might have to, you know, start applying the mechanics. But right now, it just seems like you can brute force. Maybe you want more synergy with ranged heroes. But yeah, I don't know. I'm pleased with my damage output, at least. So anyway, just a quick little video on the Crystal Dragon. I hope this helped, guys. I hope you're enjoying the game, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. All right, I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.